Hello, guys, and welcome back to another episode. This one was a requested one from a community member. So I took advantage of the request and I'm going to chat about the topic here. If you've been with the community with me for a while, if you've been following me for a while, you've definitely seen an evolution in my diet, my way of life. And I also feel like I haven't completely openly shared every bit of the changes I've made. So I want to do that here. So basically, in 2017, I was guided to go plant-based. I was hearing unbelievable things about being plant-based, how people have healed from that. And if you remember from my story, I had health anxiety. So I really wanted to do anything I could to just be my healthiest version of me. And so I went plant-based, and for about a month, I felt like absolute shit. Like I felt awful. Vinny would be like, "Oh, some diet you're on. Like you can't even get off the couch. What's wrong with you?" At the time I was teaching, I felt really drained. I'm not sure if I was detoxing or if there was like a period of transition, but I felt terrible. And then soon enough, I think I also learned like how to eat well being plant-based. I started to feel really good. And that is truly what initiated my spiritual awakening. So living by the beach, being by the ocean, watching the sunrises and sunsets, going plant-based, I started to receive the message, like, you need to start meditating. And I really believe that I'm not sure I would have received that message at the time if I hadn't gone plant-based. This by no means you need to go plant-based to be spiritual or have a spiritual awakening. It's my process and my journey, and I'm truly just sharing from that experience. So shortly after, I felt lighter. I felt not lighter like physically, like energetically lighter, clearer. I started to feel this connection to something higher than me. And I was plant-based for 7 years. And I really believe it played such a role in my elevated consciousness. And this is a very weird and dark thought, but I'm just going to say it. I remember saying like, wow, if eating plants like this can lead to spiritual awakening, I have a feeling that our food is going to start to be impacted. I have a feeling that this is before like the glyphosate conversation and all that's going on right now with our food. I just had this feeling that like our food was going to be effed with. Like, I don't know. I just got the intuitive hit. And now it's really not that crazy to say because we see what's going on in the food industry and we see that it's real. But I remember just being like, this is a key to unlock higher consciousness. And I have a feeling that it's going to be messed with and it's going to mess us up in elevating spiritually and, of course, physically, because what we feed our physical body impacts our energetic consciousness and our spiritual consciousness. So that was just a side note that just came. I just remembered that. And I remember having that thought. And now I'm like, ooh, this is weird because that's what we're talking about a lot and seeing a lot in the collective. So I absolutely loved being plant-based, and I was for a really long time, 7 years. And then there was one morning I was away with Vinny and he started cooking eggs and they smelled good to me. And typically meat, eggs, all of that, like I did not have a palate for it because your palate changes when you're eating mostly plants. It would taste like gamey to me. If there was meat or chicken or egg in a dish out at a restaurant, like I would taste it and be like, ooh, that doesn't taste right to me. Because at the time I felt like I was just meant to eat plants for whatever reason. And I remember he cooked eggs and I was like, ooh, they smell good. That's weird. They haven't smelled good to me in a very long time. And it piqued my interest. And I'm like, maybe that's my body communicating with me. I stayed open to it, but I wasn't ready to take the plunge. I think when you're plant-based, and to the extent I was, there is like this belief and program around everything. There's a program around everything, whether it's a good program that's supporting us or not, but it's up to us to know when the program needs to end. And we need to transition and listen to maybe another set of beliefs or do whatever it is we feel aligned to now. The thing is, I think there's so much noise in the collective about different diets and different ways of living and different ways of eating. And I truly believe we are all so unique and we have to find it in our own way. Like, people are like hardcore carnivore now. Like, great, if that works for you, cool. But like, that doesn't mean everyone needs to be like a hardcore carnivore now, because that's like the trending diet or whatever it may be. It's really about listening to your body and seeing what works for you. And I'm a believer too in like getting blood work done and seeing what I'm depleted in and where I need to really introduce other foods. So around the same time, I was experiencing the most ridiculous breast pain around my period. And it was like, we all know that we get tender breasts around our period, but this was extreme. And I spoke to my functional medicine doctor about it, and he gave me the name for it, and he goes, that typically means you're lacking something. And based off of my panels, they were all great. He said when he first met me, like, I might see your panels, I might tell you cannot be plant-based, but he never told me that. He told everything was going great. Everything was going great. But then I experienced the breast pain, and then he said, this might mean you're lacking something. Very intuitively, it's around the same time that I started smelling eggs, thinking they smelled good. And then I eventually tried them. Shortly after eating them, the breast pain was gone. Like, truly gone. And I realized that there was a reason why I was smelling it, thinking it smelled good. My body was telling me to eat it because I needed something in there. And I had told my doctor, I'm like, I figured it out. He was sending me for all these panels of breast health. And I'm like, no, I know that everything's fine. And I think it's exactly what you said. And sure enough, went for all the panels, everything's fine. And that came back. I was kind of brought back to that idea of, wow, it was definitely because I was missing something, and I believe I got it out of eggs. So from there, I started eating eggs. I eat a lot of eggs now, like a ton. I'm like, what did I eat before eggs? Like, where did I get my protein? And that's another thing. Like, I think now that I'm 36 years old, I feel like my body needs more protein to build muscle. I do believe that. I don't think that's the same for you. I'm just telling you what's going on in my body and what I'm experiencing. So with this, I started eating eggs. It felt very intuitively aligned. And then from there, I started eating salmon. It was, again, very random. All of a sudden, one day I was like, we were on the beach last summer, and I was like, I need a piece of salmon now. We need to go to a restaurant and get it. And I ate salmon for the first time, and I was just like, whoa, I needed that. And then this past summer, end of summer, that happened to me with beef, with steak. I was like, I need to eat steak. And I haven't eaten steak since like maybe 2010. It's been like almost 15 years of not eating any red meat. At first I ate ground beef. It was like not okay on my stomach the first 2 times. It took me 7 days to actually get it out of my body. I felt it finally like release out, and I was back to normal. But now I'm able to eat it, and it feels good in my body. Steak feels really good. And I just really am intuitive with myself, and I know what's for me and I know what's not. But while we're on the topic of food, it's also really hard because the food industry really sucks. And the more I think about the food and what goes on, like, the less I want to eat it. So I've had to really work my mindset around food. So number one, like, not being vegan anymore. I hate the idea of eating a cow. I absolutely hate the idea of it. I look at Bam Bam and I'm like, I would never eat a dog. I would never eat you. Why would I want to eat a cow? And I believe I could have like the same loving connection to a cow. I absolutely hate it. And I've talked to a lot of spiritual people and acupuncturists, and it's like this energy shift of being like, you have to look at it as food and something that your body needs and give gratitude for it, which is still hard for me. It's really hard. Like, sometimes just not thinking about it is easier. But I know, like, the former vegan in me is like, well, that's not right. Like, you would never kill a cow. Like, I guess unless I needed to survive. It's just like a hard concept to really move from. And anyone that's was vegan and like and really believed in like doing no harm to animals and then shifting to eating meat, they've gone through this and you feel it. And apparently, I think Jessie Golden has shared, because she was vegetarian for most of her life. I love her so much. She shared that like being vegan doesn't mean you're not killing any animals or insects. You actually like apparently a lot die from like the planting process in the farms. So it's like there's no perfect way to do it. That never really made me feel better, because I'm like, but now I'm eating the animal and I don't want to. But it's just really more about like what my body felt called to and listening to it intuitively. And as I continue to grow, I just want to make sure that I'm supporting my body in the best way and intuitively, truly listening. And there were times where I've asked myself, do I feel like eating animal products has impacted my intuition, impacted my sensitivity, impacted my consciousness? And I haven't felt impacted by it. I felt nourished by it. I felt like I've needed this, and it just feels right now. I believe that being vegan was such an important role in my evolution. And now, being in this chapter of my life, this is just what I feel like I need. And the second question of this was also one more thing about the food before I move on to that. Some rituals I've had around food is truly taking a moment to be grateful for what's on my plate and chanting 3 Sat Nams, whether it's in my mind or out loud, depending on like who I'm with and if I want to chant out loud, just to neutralize energy, to bring in positive energy. Because like I said, the food and the quality of food, the lack of quality I feel like we have access to, really weighs on me. And I know if I'm eating with that intention, that will not help me. So I really need to get into an elevated space. I need to neutralize, use energy work to shift the frequency of the food so that I could feel good about what I'm consuming. And of course, trying my best to eat organic and pasture raised, grass fed and finished, all of those things. But it's not always readily available. And with this, the next set of questions was about the same type of thing, like knowing what's for you, but only in relation to exercise. So what I've been doing is I've been exercising according to how I feel in the morning, and also taking into consideration my cycle. So I'm not like, oh, I'm menstruating, I can't do this, this, and this. No, I'm like, I'm menstruating. So what do I have energy for? What will feel good? What will provide me with more energy and strength and not deplete me? That's kind of how I frame it. I don't go by like the cheat sheets on Instagram of what you should or should not do in your phases. I think intuitively I do a lot of that, but it's intuitive. It's coming from me. It's coming from nothing outside of me. And I think that's really important as you navigate, whether it's your diet or how you move your body. Allow it to come through you. Allow yourself to really think about what helps you to feel good. I remember even walking, like sometimes in the summer, I would walk so much after I felt fatigued. And I'm like, okay, I pushed it too much. Like I don't need to walk that much. I love doing it in the summer. I just do it because I want to be out. I want to be in the sunshine. I want to be near the water. But like taking inventory of like, how do you feel after your workout? How do you feel after your meditation? And what's actually giving you energy rather than taking energy from you? And thinking about that, as women, we are on a 28, 29, 30-day cycle of hormones every single day. We are different. We are not like men at all. They're in a 24-hour. So to follow the same workout regimen every single day is not going to work for us. We're a different person every day with different hormones every day. So really tuning into like what is going to fuel me, what's going to power me, what's going to help me feel like my healthiest and most aligned self and not deplete me, I think is a really great framework to work through. And remembering like allowing everything to come from within you. Educate yourself from outside information, look for inspiration on the outside, but at the end of the day, you're not eating and you're not working out because anyone else is doing it. That's not a reason to. It's because of how it's going to feel in your body. How does it feel for you? And that's why I think our practice of meditation and enhancing our intuition is so important, because in this age of information, in the age of so much noise, it is imperative that we tune in to the voice within ourselves, because the answers are there. And we will get the answers. We'll hear the voice and we'll hear the message. I promise you it's within you, and you just have to trust it. So I hope that this was helpful. I thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being on the journey. And honestly, like sometimes I've seen with other people who share their journey and all of a sudden switch their framework or their beliefs or their diets, people come after them because they're like, but you've always said this. And it's like, just because we share what we believe doesn't mean one day that's going to change for us. And it's like this relationship on social media of knowing like the people you watch, they're only human. They don't have all the answers. They're sharing what works for them right now. And they're going to change just like you're going to change. And there has to be that understanding. Like I think sometimes that happens when people are not empowered, where they're like, but you said this and you told me this. But it's like, no, I'm sharing what works for me. And I want you to listen to the voice within you. You could use it as inspiration, but try it on and determine if it actually works for you. Because just because it works for me, it may not work for you. I love you so much. I thank you for being such an empowered community and such a conscious and intuitive community. And it's so fun to connect on this deep level. I just thank you so much for being here. And I will see you next time. May the long time sun shine upon you. Sat Nam.